So Kyle, guys, as I mentioned, Kyle is an amazing individual. I met him on, I don't know, on Facebook, like most people. Like sometimes, like these like connections and these like great people, just like one message away. And again, that's like sometimes that could be ego that like, it's like, this guy, I don't know, maybe he's like too busy, or like he's like, maybe he's like too far ahead, you know, like but you know, I messaged Kyle, and we had a few conversations, and finally, you know, he's here. So I think that's how, you know, great things are starting. Yeah, Kyle has done some tremendous, like, I mean, you can tell about your journey, like kind of like how you started in business, and also you have a presentation.
I do, yep.
I think the stories will be incredible.
And just as a funny story, so Alex has, we've been talking for about 6 months on Facebook, and he messaged me like 2 weeks ago, and he's like, hey, do you want to come speak at this mastermind event? And I'm like, awesome, I'd love to reach out to young entrepreneurs and teach them what I've learned. And I had, like any good marketer, I gave him 3 different choices on the presentation that he could choose, and 2 of those presentations I had already drawn out. I had slide decks ready, I had prepared, and I gave him the 3rd option, like, he probably won't choose this one, but I'll put it as an option anyway. And I have to make it on the fly in the next week right before. Guess which one he chose? The one I'm giving to you right now. But it's awesome. So should I just get on with this?
Yeah.
Cool.
I think I was going through these slides, and you know, they're like they're very, you know, I think they're very like relatable, because a lot of entrepreneurs, you know, we have good months, like, we have like good day, we have good months, we have like good year. It's all incredible. A lot of people had that in like 2020, before iOS 14, like, and now like, and then like something happens, and you have to pretty much like rebuild your business like from scratch, like brick by brick. And as long as you do it smart, right, and you're learning from those lessons, I mean, these are like very like resistant businesses that are being built. So yeah, Kyle, please share. I think it will be incredible for everyone to learn, and very relatable.
Awesome. So I'm going to start with a little story. So think back to December 6th, 2020. This is at the height of COVID, with the greatest surge of e-commerce in the history of the world. It's 19 days before Christmas, December 25th. And this is my brand. It's called Family Gifts Co. We're a D2C e-commerce brand, and we sell family gifts to parents, typically, for their loved ones and their kids, personalized gifts, and life was awesome. We did $500,000 in revenue in 2019, and we scaled to over $27 million in net revenue in 2020. This is Shopify. It's showing net revenue for this January 1st through December 6th. We had a $101 average order value, sold nearly 200.
Have you been profitable? Like,
yep, 10% net. 2 steps.
Everyone wants to see screenshots.
Everyone wants to see the screenshot. Yeah, cool.
Screenshots.
You're probably gonna have to remind me about that a bunch of times.
Maybe we will. Maybe we'll move this table. So it's like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. Projector. Okay, got it. The projector here.
Cool. And life was awesome. Right. So that November we had scaled past $150,000 days, scaled past $200,000 days, even had a couple $350,000 days, which again was insane because we did $500,000 in revenue the entire year before, and we did over $4.3 million in gross revenue in November. I had about $2.5 million in the bank account. This shows $2 million. This is the ending balance, and this was on December 15th. It was actually much higher than that on December 6th, and I'm going to tell you what happened. But first, I still felt like I was rich. This is not why the balance dropped so much, but I did go out and buy a Vanquish.
Man, these things appreciate. If you would have bought like
yeah, so that was $130,000 that I paid cash for all those, and they'd be worth about double that now. And I actually had to fire sale them when the business went to craziness. I still have the Vanquish, which actually went up about $30,000 in value, which was kind of nice. But I felt rich, to say the least. And then I had a life-changing phone call from my operations manager. And he said, Kyle, we just got a huge number of complaints from customers who said that their orders have been over 14 days and they haven't been delivered. And we looked into it, and what had happened is one of our manufacturers had created the orders and shipped them, and then somehow lost cargo containers full of canvas prints in transit to UPS, tens of thousands of orders, and we did not have a plan B. and this was 19 days before Christmas. We were fucked. Excuse my language. He cursed, so I feel like I can do it too. This led to some really dark thoughts, like 30,000 customers, what if we can't refund them all? Like, could there be legal implications to this? Could this be like an FTC issue? Could I go to jail for this? I just gotten married a year earlier. Could my wife be implicated in this? And it was pretty much the darkest 3 months of my life. I literally just wore a hoodie every day into my office, didn't want to talk to anybody. It was super dark, not a fun experience. But the experiences that I went through then have made me a much stronger entrepreneur, as I'm going to talk about. So in the next 90 days, we went from having over $2.5 million in my bank account to $129,000. In 90 days, I lost all of my wealth. This number is actually not correct because this doesn't include Facebook net 30 terms that I owed Facebook, and in my Amex credit card, I was negative, like that. So I had a vision, but I could not execute. Had a vision, but I couldn't execute. The vision is the easy part. The execution is the most difficult part. And I remember when I was a young entrepreneur starting off, and I had all these great ideas, and I keep them to myself because I thought they were super valuable, right? And now I go in on LinkedIn and post my ideas because good luck executing on them. My name is Kyle Hunt, and I'm the co-founder of Weekend Investments. We're an e-commerce investment company. We invest in e-commerce D2C brands, typically in the $2 to $10 million in annual revenue range. We've invested in 6 brands in the past 9 months. And I'm also a partner and chief strategy officer at Weekend Digital. We're a D2C agency. We're a full-service growth agency. Full service just means we offer full service like creative and ads and email and landing page building, pretty much anything you need from a D2C perspective. And we're high ticket, so our packages range anywhere from $10,000 to $50,000 a month plus a percentage of spend. And these are our brands. So we've acquired 6 brands, minority equity positions in brands, and then all my business partners and I have owned brands prior. And this portfolio of companies has done about $70 million in revenue in the last 24 months. Alex talked a little bit about my journey earlier, but I actually started in lead generation, and then I sold that company, and then I took 2 years off. It's supposed to be 1 month, and that turned into 2 months, and that turned into 2 years. And then I started a supplement company, and then I did not exit that. And then I started Family Gifts Co., and now I'm here at Weekend Investments and Weekend Digital. And Weekend Investments we started about 9 months ago. Weekend Digital I came on as partner January 1st, so it's a little bit less than 2 years old still. And today's presentation is on how to create and execute an 8-figure vision, right? Who here has a big vision? Who here wants to be a multi-7-figure brand? I want to raise their hands. Multi-7? What about an 8-figure brand? Anyone want to be a 9-figure brand? Yeah, a lot of people. Me too. So first off, so we actually sell this presentation as a one-day offering to people for $20,000, $2,500 an hour. How much were tickets to this event?
Yeah, like, I don't know, sales guys should know better.
Okay. Some of you might have just got this event for free, right? This is 1 hour, $2,500. Sorry to put you on the spot for that. But who has a big vision, right? We just had a lot of hands raised saying you want to be a multi-7-figure, 8-figure, 9-figure brand. I love it. So this is our current state. So we have 5 offices all around the world. We have 2 creative studios in Sacramento. We have a creative company we acquired called Welling Media. In Nashville, we have an office in Soho. We have an office in Romania. And my designer thought it'd be funny to put an office in Florida and North Carolina because 2 of my business partners, we work from home. We do not have offices there, but I thought it was kind of funny. He put them there. And this is our 5-year expansion plan. So we're acquiring agencies all around the US, and we're creating franchises, essentially, in those states. And we plan on having 30 to 50 agency acquisitions in the next 3 to 4 years. So we have the agency side, and I'm not sure if you all know this, but agencies are really awesome cash flow machines, whereas e-commerce brands typically are not. Right? You can generate cash flow and you can generate profit in e-commerce, but you're going to use most of that profit to buy more inventory, to pay for more ads, to generate more revenue, to buy more, right? And there's the vicious cycle. Agencies are cash machines. They make 20 to 30% net in the bank. So what we're doing is we're taking all of our cash from the agency to acquire more agencies, to acquire more e-commerce brands, right? And our next stage of this is to acquire the rest of the ecosystem. So next year, our plans are to acquire 3PLs that can service our e-commerce brands so we can give them cheaper rates so they can be more profitable. So when we exit, we can make a lot more money. We're acquiring media companies so we can send cheaper eyeballs to our e-commerce brands. So when we exit, we all make more money. And it's a giant flywheel that supports itself. And this is our evil master plan, our 5-year exit strategy, billion-dollar valuation. Everyone in the journey wins big. We're bringing in a lot of business partners that we're acquiring. All of our people that work for our companies. We're going to be acquiring anywhere from 20 to 30 e-commerce brands, typically $2 to $10 million in revenue, 10% net, and they have an average cycle time of 24 to 36 months. Basically what that means is from the day that we acquire them to the day we sell them, we want that time to be 24 to 36 months. And what we're doing is we're selling them to strategic acquirers. So there's 2 different types of acquirers out there. There's a strategic acquirer and there's a financial acquirer. A strategic acquirer is going to be about 5% of the market, and these are going to be huge companies or competitors. This would be a Unilever, Procter & Gamble, or a large competitor, right? And they're going to pay a lot more than a financial acquirer, which is about 95% of the market. A financial acquirer is going to take a look at your trailing 12 EBITDA. They're going to give it some multiple, 2 to 5, and they're going to pay you that. But Unilever knows if they send out 1 email after they acquire you, they're going to make like $100 million. So they're going to pay a lot more for that. So we're exiting all of our e-commerce investments to strategic acquirers. And from an agency's perspective, we're acquiring 36 to 50 agencies. And we're going to be doing a roll-up for that. It's all going to be one sale to a massive acquirer. And we're going to get a 15 times EBITDA multiple on that. And then the third part of this is Weekend EDU. We have some really awesome info stuff that's going to be coming out over the next couple of months. We have a course we're dropping for TikTok that I'm going to talk about in a little bit. And this is kind of our master plan here. All right, so here's the steps on how to create and execute your 8-figure vision. So number 1, address your constraints personally, right? As Jared and Alex just mentioned, everyone here has your own constraints. You need to figure out what that is, take a look at it ruthlessly to fix it so you can level up. Step 2 is going to be plan by learning. Without data, you can't make a plan, so we're going to figure out how to get data. Then we're going to walk through how to create your vision, and then we're going to figure out how to execute that vision. 4 simple steps.
Where do you see like most entrepreneurs kind of like what's the most important or like what's the most like difficult for entrepreneurs to do?
They're all number 1 and number 4, probably. The addressing the constraints and then actually executing on them.
But by addressing your constraint, is that like kind of like self-awareness, like kind of like what you're good at, what you're bad at, or like?
Exactly. And I have a slide that I'll show you the details about that too.
Yeah. I was asked like not to interrupt you, but.
No, it's good. I appreciate that. And if anyone has questions, feel free like raise your hand and I'll answer it. All right. So who here has heard of Alex Hormozi? Right. Amazing marketer, entrepreneur, created a book called $100 Million Offers, and everyone really likes Alex because he's figured out a really simple way to take what a lot of the greats like Dan Kennedy have made and put it into one simple book to understand offer creation. But actually the main thing that I've gotten from Alex is his theory of constraints and how he applies that to founders and to business. So you are probably the main constraint in your business, and we call this the brilliant bottleneck. And if you're a solopreneur, you are 100% the constraint in your business. And if you're a founder and you have employees, there's still probably a 98% chance you're the main constraint in your business. But that's okay because I was too. So this is Family Gifts Co. at its peak. We had about 60 employees and I had 12 direct reports, which is insanity because I thought I was Superman. I had a belief that I could do everything and I was woefully incorrect. And we actually had at one point 120 employees during the delivery fiasco of Christmas of 2020 because we pretty much hired half the Philippines to be customer service for us. But this was most of the year when I had about 12 direct reports, which is not sustainable for anybody. So this is actually what I took from Hormozi. So Hormozi says there's 3 types of constraints for any entrepreneur. Separately, there's going to be business constraints, which I don't have time to get into, but I'm going to talk about personal constraints. So you have skill constraints. And skill constraints are going to be the easiest to overcome because you can learn Facebook in like a week, right? You're not going to be an expert at it, but you can learn it in a week. and there's characteristics that you have to develop as an entrepreneur to scale, right? Those are going to take a longer time to ingrain in yourself, and then there's beliefs, and the beliefs are going to take the longest time, right? And this is like the corollary to this, where it's like you have a super successful business like Facebook that Mark Zuckerberg has been running, and if I were to take any of the entrepreneurs in here who've never run a multi-billion-dollar corporation and put them as the CEO of Facebook, I guarantee you in 6 months, Facebook would not be performing as well as it is right now, because Zuckerberg has been through it all, right? He's built the skills, the characteristics, and the beliefs necessary to run an organization like that, and unless you've done the work, you're not going to have that. And what's important from this is that whatever is the limiting factor at the lowest level is going to stop you from achieving the next level. So if you have a belief that you're not going to be successful, but you have amazing skills, you're going to be capped at your low belief to not be successful, and vice versa. Or if you have a characteristic that's not a good characteristic of a business owner, but you have an amazing belief, you're still going to be constrained at the lowest level of this ladder. So this is the equation. Your performance is your full potential minus your constraints. If your constraints are down here, and you have one thing blocking you from going from here to here, and it's a constraint, that's the one thing you need to be focusing on ruthlessly to address to get yourself to the next level so that you can get your business to the next level. All right, so when we're talking about constraints, so like I couldn't just go out and start acquiring and selling brands, right? I had to have a skill stack that got me to where I'm currently at. So this is my skill stack, which is one of the 3 rungs. We have the skills, characteristics, and beliefs. I'm just going to show you my skill stack. So I started a lead generation company, and we sold finance leads to finance companies. And then I started a outbound sales company because I decided that if we further qualify those leads, we could make a lot more money. And then I sold that company, and I got into affiliate marketing. So I said, hey, maybe I should have other people who can sell my products. And then I figured out, well, maybe I need to learn how to do Facebook marketing on my own and do full stack marketing. So I learned how to do growth marketing, right? Facebook ads, Google, email, like all the core things you need. And then I built a company, right? I built Family Gifts Co. We had 1 or 2 products, learned how to build a company, hired some people. And then we learned how to build a brand, right? And from there, we learned how to acquire and sell brands. But I couldn't have gone to acquiring and selling brands had I not gone through this entire skill stack, right? I'd have a limiting constraint. So, number 1, for any of this to work, right, you can plan as much as you want. You can try to execute as much as you want. But if you have a personal constraint, which we all do, right, you need to address that, number 1. Does that answer your question from earlier?
Yeah.
Cool.
So can you like, do you have a lot more slides?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, all right, yeah. I have a lot of questions, so I'll take those through.
Okay, cool. All right, so step 2, plan by learning. Question. Great question. So her question was, how do you identify constraints? So there are a couple different ways that you can go about it. So number 1, if you sit down yourself and think about what am I weak at or what am I strong at, you should come up with some great things. But if you have business partners or if you have advisors or if you have employees, you should be asking them on a consistent basis to do peer reviews of yourself, right? What am I lacking, right? And I ask that as a partner in my company all my time to my employees, like what am I lacking that I need to improve? Because if you're not improving, you're not growing. Does that answer your question? Cool. All right, so here's the 4 types of data that we're going to use to make our plan. We have customer data, we have employee data, we have company data, and then we have marketing data. Who likes data? Super fun stuff. All right, yeah, we're cool. All right, so here's some easy ways to get customer data, and we really like customer surveys, as you can tell. And I'm going to walk you through each one of these and an example of one of them as well. So we get data from pop-ups. So most people on here, you go to your website and you have a pop-up that typically asks for an email or an SMS in exchange for a discount. But what you should also be doing is collecting data about your customers, right? So if you're a supplement company, you should be asking which one of these reasons is why you're purchasing why you're purchasing this.
Check.
Oh, I hear you. Check. Why you're purchasing this, right? You should be asking that data up front so you can get valuable insights about your customer. And what's really cool about that is now once you have that data and it's attached to somebody's profile in like Klaviyo, you can build out flows and segments that are specific to that data that you just found out about that customer. Super powerful. The second type of data that you can get from a customer survey perspective is post-purchase. So there's some really awesome softwares that I'll talk about next, where you immediately post-purchase, you can have customers fill out survey data, and that's when they're the happiest, they just bought your product, they're more likely to give you survey data. And then we do, in any new brand that we acquire, we do what's called a 180-day purchase survey, which I'll walk you through the exact survey in a slide or two. And essentially, anyone who's purchased in the last 180 days, we send out a 10-question survey to. And then what we do is, once we've done that, we create a flow off of that for anyone who's purchased one time, 10 questions. And then we create a second survey that's a 2 times buyer. So if someone's purchased from us twice, we send them the second, more in-depth survey that's 25 questions. If they buy from you once, they care about your brand a little bit, but if they buy from you twice, they're more likely to be a loyal user. So we send out 25 questions on that second survey. We ask a lot of demographic, psychographic information so we can get really deep understanding of who our best customers are. And then we collect data post-delivery about the delivery experience and any other questions we might have. So a lot of really easy points to get data. All right, here's a cool hack. So who here has ever Googled your company's name plus review, so like Family Gifts Co. review, and had really bad results? Like, yeah, dude, lots of people. Yeah. So this is the hack, right? Outside of having your customer service give any 5-star review an email saying, hey, go give us a review, this is the quick hack to change this in 30 days. So there's 2 softwares that you can use. One is called SiteJabber. SiteJabber is going to be very expensive. It's like $20,000 a year. And Lumo is going to be cheap. Lumo is like $50 a month. But SiteJabber will allow you post-purchase to have a survey that will ask the customer on a scale of 1 to 5 stars how they rate you, and then will allow you to auto-rotate those views to all the different review sites. So you can say, if someone fills out a survey, I want 20% of my reviews to go to BBB, I want 20% of my reviews to go to Trustpilot, I want 30% of my reviews to go to Facebook, etc. And think about this from like a psychological perspective. The customer literally just purchased your product, and now they're reviewing it everywhere, right? You can get a 10% take rate on a survey on this, and in 30 days, transform your Google reviews, right? Lumo's cheaper because it's not a post-purchase software survey. They'll send an email out, so you're going to get some denigration in terms of the number of people who complete it. But for $50 a month, you can auto-rotate reviews all around Google, right? Okay, so here's an example survey that we use as our 180-day purchase. And I'm going to walk you through the psychology behind why we ask each of these questions. So the first one is, what's your email address? Obviously, because we want to know who's filling this out. The second one is, how do you feel you have enough energy every day? And we want to start off every survey with a simple question. If people start off surveys with a difficult question, then you're not going to complete it. So literally, this is a throwaway question that we just want to have as a simple question. And this is for one of our internal brands called Glitch, which is an energy supplement for gamers. Really interesting vertical. So question 3 is, how often do you take Glitch supplements? So this is interesting because now we can figure out a buyer cycle and a subscription cycle instead of guessing, right? Because everyone has like a 1 month or 2 or 3 month option for subscriptions on their site. But now we're literally getting data from our customers from their own mouths. Number 4 is, in your own words, what do you like best about Glitch supplements? Now we have amazing sales copy that we can use because customers are telling us directly from their own mouths why they love us, right? So just imagine the sales copy you can build from this. And then we ask them, describe yourself in a few words. Example, I'm a 26-year-old male with a designer for passion, with passion for cars, right? Now you have a customer avatar that you can build based on what they just told you for all of your marketing. What products do you use for energy? So this is so you can understand your competitors, and they're often not who you think they are. They're probably not like the multi-billion-dollar company that you think you're competing against. They're probably more smaller local companies. And now you can look at their ads, and you can look at the copy that they use when they're talking to your customers. How long have you been buying Glitch supplements for? So we want to understand the loyalty of this specific person filling out this email, because the more loyal a person is, the more we should care about their data. And which of the following items do you want Glitch to release? So this is great for product development, right? Because now customers are literally telling us what they want us to create. Most of us as entrepreneurs, we kind of like get a gut instinct, especially if we're young entrepreneurs, for like what we want to release next. Like, ask your customers and they will tell you. What frustrates you the most about Glitch supplements? This is also great for product development because now you know you should be building in the V2 of your product because they're going to tell you right there. And it's also great for copy because earlier was like, what do you like the best? So your copy can be like, get this, this, and this without this drawback. Right? Simple copy formula. And then do you have any other suggestions we can improve on? And that's because you should always be getting feedback from your customers. Always, always, always. Right? And you can do this, create the survey in SurveyMonkey, or you can do it for free in Google Forms. And the hack on Google Forms is just to put the discount code on the thank you page, and then make sure you close the loop with customer service and let them know about the discount and that you're doing it too. All right, so here's actual survey data from one of our internal brands, Glitch. So as I mentioned, energy supplement for gamers. And we thought, of course, everybody loves this because they're getting awesome energy and focus for gamers, right? No. The fourth question, in your own words, what do you like best about Glitch Energy? The taste, the taste, the taste, the taste, flavor. 90% of the results, everybody likes the flavors, right? Number 9, what frustrates you the most about Glitch supplements? 46% of people said, not enough flavors. Guess what our initiatives for the next quarter were? Creating new flavors every single month. Completely changed the trajectory of this business because we thought we should be creating other products. They just wanted more flavors, right? And then number 8, which of the following items do you want Glitch to release? A hydration supplement was the number 1 thing. Never would have thought, but they told us what they wanted. Now that's on the product roadmap, right? So you can see how getting this data can help inform your decision making for the future steps. All right, this is probably my favorite way of collecting customer data, and this is talking to your top 4% customers. So I'm sure everybody here has probably heard of the Pareto principle at some point. Pareto principle is basically the 80-20 rule, right? Like 80% of your sales are going to be coming from 20% of your customers. If you take that a step further and you look at the top 20% of your top 20%, that's the top 4% of your customers. And the top 4% of your customers want to generate anywhere from 40 to 50% of your total revenue in your company. And if they're not, it's because you're not giving them a chance to. But what we do is we actually sit down with our customers in a Zoom meeting that's 30 to 45 minutes long, and we talk to them, and we ask them personal information about themselves, and we get to know them. We get to build a customer avatar, and we ask them about what products we should be developing. And these are the customers that you should be tailoring every single marketing item in your business to, because these are the people that are giving you all your LTV in a company. And there's a simple way to find these customers in Shopify. There's a report called Loyal Customers, where you can sort by number of transactions and and dollar amount of revenue. You should be setting up calls with these people on a weekly basis, right? Your top 20, 25 customers, and talk to them. And I know as e-commerce entrepreneurs, we like to sit behind keyboards and not really talk to people who are customers, but you should be doing this because if you're not, you're going to be left behind. Question? No, there just had to be a cutoff. And there's a decent amount of data in 180 days. If they're more than that, then it's likely they're not going to repurchase from us anyway. So just a random cutoff. And it's a good standard for email as well, like 180-day purchasers. Any other questions? Yeah. Yeah, so his question was, do you email people after 180 days? So the 180-day survey is anyone who's purchased within the last 180 days, right? We send that email to. And then after we send out the email, we create a flow of that same exact email for any new buyers that come in, right? So we're getting past data, and then we're getting data from anyone who's coming in the future as well. Another place you can get customer data is from customer service. So we use Gorgeous, shout out, which we love. And your customer service reps, even if they're outsourced in the Philippines or wherever, talk to your customers every day. They're your boots on the ground. And I guarantee if you ask them, hey, what do our customers like? What do our customers dislike? Oh, man. My bad. You should be getting this data on a weekly basis from your customer service reps and using this in your decision making, right? And if you're not, you don't have a full picture of your company. Facebook groups are also a phenomenal place for you to collect data. Colin Wayne, founder of Redline Steel, has done a phenomenal job with this, with his VIP groups and Ascension model that he's created with that. But this is an example of him asking people in his Facebook group for product information. Which one of these products should we release, right? Multi-billion-dollar companies pay millions of dollars for focus groups, right? You can do this for free by starting a Facebook group and asking questions to your customers. We also want to collect employee data, and I'm going to give you a couple really cool softwares. So one is called Impulse, where we collect ENPS. ENPS is just Employee Net Promoter Score, which is on a scale of 1 to 10, would you recommend working here to a friend, right? And then the reason why And you want employee data because if you don't have happy employees, it doesn't matter how great your strategy is, you're going to fail, right? Because they're not going to want to do the work. So you always want to have a gauge on your employees. And then also there's another software called Assembly. And by the way, both of these integrate directly into Slack, so you can ask these questions in Slack. So you get like a 90% opt-in rate for your employees. And this is called a pulse survey. So on a weekly basis, we ask our employees questions like, how happy are you at work? On a scale of 1 to 10, I know it contributes good performance in my role. And you can ask, they all have libraries of questions you can ask, right? But you want to have a good understanding of your employees so you have a good culture so that they'll trust you and want to be able to scale with you. All right, and then we're going to take a look at market data. So this is our actual SWOT analysis, like the first 3 lines for Weekend Digital for our brand, and I'm not going to go into it too deeply. But you want to take a look at your strengths, weakness, opportunities, threats, and trends. If any of you have been to business school, they stop one short, in my opinion. They just do strength, weaknesses, opportunity, and threats. You also need to be on the lookout for trends. I'm not going to go into these because I don't think we have time, but I will say opportunities, threats. The number one threat to any entrepreneur in this room is shiny object syndrome. Every single one of you, myself included, shiny object syndrome. Now we're going to take a look at company data. So if you don't understand finances, that's a constraint, and you're going to be constrained in your ability to scale your company. If you don't understand cash flow, you are dead, right? We've taken a look at hundreds of P&Ls and balance sheets and finances as we're acquiring agencies, as we're acquiring and investing in e-commerce brands. And most people look at this wrong. They take a look at the P&L first because it has all the cool cost of goods sold and gross margins and profit and everything, right? What you should be taking a look at first in your own company is your balance sheet and your cash flow. Because without cash flow, you can't live, you can't breathe. And the balance sheet shows profit anyway. So have an understanding of finance or you're going to be a main constraint in your company. And as my business partner, Tommy Patterson, said, if you're not living in numbers, you're not living in reality. You got a question?
Wow. Oh, do we have a recording? Do we recording this? Yeah, because it's it's a lot of insights and a lot of I think kind of like what inspired you, like when you've done that pivot from e-commerce to the agency? Was it like kind of you were like forced to create like a cash flow business, or like what was the motivation behind it?
Yeah, great question. So I started Weekend Investments with Tommy Patterson, who's my business partner in that, as well as Brandon Fink, who's our third business partner in that. We started Weekend Investments 9 or 10 months ago now, and that's what I wanted to do as my main job, is invest in e-commerce brands. And what we're doing is we're powering all the investments with our agency. So Tommy came to me in like November, and he's like, dude, we need help on the agency side. We're growing like crazy. We're growing like a rocket ship. And he's like, we have no one to help with structure and process. Because think about it, like Tom started a creative agency. He's a creative guy, like zero process, like knows nothing about it. Same thing for Brandon, who's a marketer, zero process, and I'm all about process and structure. So they sort of forced me. They're like, hey, look, we really want you on board on the agency side as well, and we think you can scale this too, so come on board. And I saw a huge opportunity with it as well, from a personal gain perspective, like growth, being able to do what I like to do, and also from an exit perspective as well. So now I'm in both of them.
So you're more like a numbers guy?
I wouldn't say numbers, but I do like numbers, yes.
So who does this?
So we actually, I'm going to give credit where it's due. So we actually took the initial sheet from this from Common Thread Collective, who's another agency, really, really intelligent, smart guys. And we made it better, I think. But I do a lot of number stuff, yeah. I enjoy it.
Use any like external apps for this, like to kind of break these numbers down, or like Triple Whale?
Great question. So I don't use Triple Whale. Well, I actually do use Triple Whale and Family Gifts Co. We do use it in other brands as well. It's not a requirement. Hold on. The next slide will maybe show you a little bit something else that we use. Triple Whale, all these attribution softwares are a necessity at this point. If you're not using them, you're wasting money on ad spend, right? So you should have some data. This is one of the things that we use to look at data, and this is our contribution margin. So the difference between like a gross margin and a contribution margin is contribution margin is on a product level. So we take a look at the contribution margin, which is any of the variable cost that go into delivery of a product, right? So in this sheet, we're taking a look at the average order value of the product. We're taking a look at the blended COGS for that product, any sort of payment processing fees, which is a variable fee, any sort of fulfillment fee, which is a variable fee, and any of the fees that might go into your total contribution margin, and then figuring out, okay, based on this contribution margin, what's the break-even cost of goods sold or the break-even, break-even ROAS or break-even target CPA that we need to make $0 on this from a variable cost perspective. And most people here are not thinking about their business this way. You're thinking, oh, I buy this product for $10 and I sell it for $50, but you're not thinking about all the extra costs that go into the delivery, and you're grossly underestimating the profitability of your business because of that. So to that point, another place we get data is this. This is what I was kind of getting to. Wow. So this is a daily P&L that we do for all of our agency clients as well as for all of our internal brands. And profit is the #1 KPI for a lot of our brands, unless we're going to be investing a lot of money in like a subscription offer, because we know we're going to lose $300,000 in a month to make up subscription and LTV. Profit's pretty much our #1 KPI. And
what kind of products have like 0.5 break-even ROAS?
Software.
Oh. Wow. Jared, we found your secret.
Right, software has 0% margin, essentially, outside of your labor costs, which are fixed costs, so not even included in contribution margin.
Wow.
And this is super simple. We just created all this from super sheets and put it into a Google sheet. So you can do this yourself. We just pull data from like Facebook, Google, Shopify. They'll have APIs.
So this is kind of like alternative to apps like Triple Whale, so you kind of just do it more manually?
Yeah, this is an alternative. And to be honest, Triple Whale is probably better because this isn't real time. This is delayed 24 hours. But we've just been using it for so long. Everyone in the company is comfortable using it, and not all of our clients are on Triple Whale. So for us, we know this is the one place as an agency we can take a look at for every single one of our clients and know on a daily basis where they're at.
Wow, this is so cool. They have like a template that you can share?
I'm sure Brandon could get you guys a template.
Okay.
Yep, great question. Is this dependent on Supermetrics? It is, and Supermetrics is not always accurate, so we have someone who QAs this every single day and inputs data that Supermetrics messes up. Mm-hmm. What was that software called? Hevo. Cool.
And then we push that to a database, so we have historical data saved. And then you can manipulate it however you want to and build Data Studio reports. And depending on how much you want to budget for that type of data access, you can refresh it every 5, 15, 30 minutes or however frequently you want to. And it's very accurate.
Interesting. Yeah, Supermetrics is very cheap, and we use this for all of our agency clients. So it's kind of like cost-benefit analysis for us, but I really like that solution. That's awesome. All right, we're on step 3. So create your vision, and I'm going to walk you through the actual vision that we have for Weekend Digital. I can't walk you through the actual process that we use because that would take 8 hours, but I'm going to show you what ours is, and I hope that it inspires you for how to create your own vision. So I'm going to talk through accountability, a long-term vision, and then a short-term plan. So who has read Traction by Gino Wickman? Not enough people. Okay, so Traction by Gino Wickman, he created this thing called EOS. It's called the Entrepreneurial Operating System. And one of the things that he says is that you should build what's called an accountability chart. And an accountability chart is basically a org chart with 5 main responsibilities and accountabilities of everybody in your organization. And this is a super simplified version. So there's a visionary at the top who's typically a CEO. And you have an integrator who's below them who's typically like a COO. And then you have sales and marketing, which in a lot of companies are separated in different functions. And then we have operations, then we have finance, right? And there's a lot of debate around organizational structure, right? Google likes flat structures. There's a lot of companies out there that are SaaS that no one should have managers, right? I think you should just keep it simple and do something like this. And the whole point of this exercise is to make sure that everybody in your company, you have the right people in the right seats and that they know what they're supposed to be doing. So you should be sitting down on a quarterly basis and doing this with your company, making sure that you have everybody in the right seats and that they know what they're supposed to be doing. And it can get kind of crazy. So this is our accountability chart at Weekend Digital. We've got like 90 employees. It's kind of insane right now. And this is version of 1.0. All right, so now that we've put the right people in the right seats, we're going to create core values. So I used to think core values were stupid, right? They're like this kind of wishy-washy thing that nobody really cares about, like employees don't care about it. But there becomes a certain level in an organization when you grow where you as a founder lose touch with people and they need a framework to make decisions with. And those core values should be that framework that your employees are making your decisions with. So these are our core values. Number one, excellence. Strive to be excellent in everything you do. Constantly raise your standards. So if we have a designer who's creating a design for a company and they submit it for QA and we take a look at this and we're like, does this meet weekend excellence standards? And if the answer is no, then we don't submit it to a customer. If the answer is yes, then we submit it, right? So the employee just used our core value to make a decision, and that's how you want to set these up. The second is collaboration. There's no I in team, not in English anyway. Although we have different departments, we are Team Weekend operating as one. We are we first, not me first. And we actually use we are we first, not me first in all of our recruiting as a screen. And if somebody is me first, and you can get that feeling from them in the recruiting, then we don't want them on our team. Because the agency game is a team game. And so is building any organization where you're going to have a lot of employees, the team game. Our third is efficiency. So do more by doing less, work smarter, not harder. So all those acquisitions I've told you about, all the investments I've told you about have come from our own funds. We're bootstrapped. We have not taken any funds from third-party investors. So we need our employees to think, how can we do more with less? Positivity. Be positive towards yourself and others. Positivity is contagious, so spread it around your work environment or personal lives. Right? If you have people who are not positive in your organization, you need to root them out sooner or later. It doesn't matter if they're the best salesperson in the world, if they're the best ad buyer in the world. If they're bringing your people down, you need to get them out of your organization. And you will never look back and say, oh, that was a terrible decision to fire that guy or girl. I promise you. It'll be the best decision you've ever made. And then growth. So work towards becoming a better version of yourself in every day, in every way, physically, mentally, professionally, and financially. Growth should be happening everywhere. If we stop growing, we might as well be dead, right? So some of the screens in our recruiting process is, tell me about the last book you've read. How often are you learning, right? Because if you're not, you're going to be left behind. Core values should be the DNA of your company. When you're sitting down and thinking about this, it shouldn't be something that's aspirational that you want people to do. You should think about, like, what have we done in the past that's got us to this point that's been in our DNA? And that's what you should make your core values. Question?
Do you say on the positivity that if somebody around you is not positive, you should fire him?
So
if you are trying to work with them, like try to develop them, but even though you have been working with them like for 3, 4, 5 months, how they still don't get it, like it's too long time, just get rid of them?
In our organization, if you're not positive, like we're going to have a conversation about it. First of all, you should have been hired in the first place. But if you do make it through that, right? Yeah, you're gonna be termed because you don't belong in our organization. Question. So his question is, how did you decide these core values? So we sat down as a management team of like 20 people and put like 2 hours to it. Actually, it was a very long process. You can read Traction. You can read Scaling Up, which is another book that I recommend. You can read.
Did you do it through the EOS process? Did you have integrator?
We did this all internally, and I led it because I've done this a dozen times now.
Okay. Because we've been kind of like through the same process with like implementer, so they helped us to. So you have this option, like you can hire like EOS actually implementer, and that the person who will actually be asking you these questions will help to align everyone and kind of like figure out what these core values are. But as Kyle mentioned, you can also do it by yourself. Book is like $15.
How much did you pay for the integrator?
$5,000.
Okay, yeah. Or you could read the book.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
up to you.
It's Traction.
It's called Traction by Gino Wickman. I actually do recommend an integrator, especially if this is your first time doing something like this, because they're going to bring things out in yourself you didn't understand. But I've just done this so much now that
Yeah,
we do it
we
internally.
take sometimes stuff like personally, like kind of like because we're so emotionally attached, like to certain
Absolutely.
and like the implementer actually would ask you questions and would because they have no personal attachment, they don't care, and I think that is helpful. Yeah, as you said, maybe like for the first time, as you're building, maybe like implementing this for the first time, and then over time it becomes easier.
Yep. Yeah. So if it's your first time, you could absolutely hire an implementer. It's well well worth the return on investment, well worth it. Cool. All right, so then we're going to define our purpose. And our purpose is our why. So the reason Weekend Digital started is Tom, my business partner Tom, had a women's activewear brand, which is still active, called IAB. Stands for I Am Becoming. And they sell booty shorts, essentially, right? And Tom, after 5 or 6 years, decided that he wasn't being fulfilled selling booty shorts. And he had a lot of people and other masterminds come to him and say, Tom, you have really awesome ads. Like, what creative studio did your ads? Like, what agency did it? And he's like, we did it all in-house. They're like, can we try it out with you guys? And he's like, all right, right? So from there, Weekend Digital was born. And that's been our purpose since we've started, is to set a new standard for growth agencies by helping founders achieve their goals and create an ongoing legacy, right? We want to be the people setting standards and zigging when other people are zagging. And that's what's made us successful so far. All right, now that you have your purpose, you're going to create your long-term vision. This could be like a 5 or 10-year horizon. E-commerce entrepreneurs tend to have a shorter time horizon because we all get burnt out pretty quickly from working a lot. But your long-term vision is also called your BHAG. This stands for Big, Hairy, Audacious Goal. This was made popular by Jim Collins, who created the book Good to Great, among many others, legendary writer and entrepreneur. And this is our BHAG. #1 D2C growth agency in the world, 5-year, multi-billion-dollar exit. And when people read your BHAG, they should look at you like you're fucking crazy, right? What agency exits for $1 billion in 5 years? Like, that's crazy, right? But we have the plan for it. Your BHAG should be just as crazy and outlandish. All right, so we just had our long-term goal, and then we're going to break that down. And you're going to see throughout this presentation, like, we're setting these long-term goals, and we're going to break down in specific chunks how to get to, like, our current, right? So this is our target. By December 31st, 2024, we're going to be a $150 million in revenue company. And we're going to do that by having $78 million come through Weekend Main, which is our main organization. And then we're going to acquire $40 to $50 million of agencies. And then those agencies are going to compound growth on a quarterly, monthly, annual basis. And they're actually going to be top-line revenue of 62 to 72 million, which makes us hit our $150 million mark at 25 to 30% net. And the way that we're going to do this is by getting 50 clients at Weekend Main, which is our main agency. They're going to be paying us $100,000 a month. That's $60 million a year in revenue. And we actually recently changed this. So we thought that being the #1 D2C agency meant having more clients than everybody else. We wanted like 1,500 clients. We were wrong. Like, that sucks. That's horrible, right? What we want is we want to go really deep on really large brands and do everything for them and help scale them. And that's going to allow us to have the revenue that we need to acquire other agencies and the best talent, and allow us to focus deep on 50 clients as opposed to 1,500 clients. And then we're going to be, we'll have Weekend EDU/Powerhouse at 100 clients, which is $5,000 a month. That's $6 million a year in revenue. And then we're going to have Nashville, which is the recent agency we just acquired, the creative studio. We're going to have 100 clients at $10,000 a month, and they're going to pay us $12 million a year. Nashville is creative only, so they don't do any of the full service marketing stuff, so their contracts are less. That's why they're $10,000 versus our main, which is going to be $100,000 a month. And I'm not going to go through the initiatives because we don't have time, but what you're going to be seeing again is like the transition from these are the 3-year initiatives, 5-year initiatives, break that down into a 1, and then break that down into a quarterly. And then the third part of this is setting down your sandbox. So this is who are the ideal targets that you want to acquire as a client, right? And for us, this is a $5 million a year e-commerce brand spending $200,000 a month or more on paid ads, right? And we're not there yet, but we will be shortly. And then Powerhouse and Nashville have their own little sandboxes. And then the only brands we're taking on are brands that are on Shopify. If they're not, we move them to Shopify, and brands that are on Klaviyo, and if they're not, we move them to Klaviyo. Otherwise, it's too much operational drag on our end. And we're not able to effectively serve them. All right, cool. So that was the 3-year plan. Now we're breaking that down into 1 year, right? So our 1-year goal is by December 31st, 2022, and you set dates on this, right? So that when that date happens, you can check it, of $20 million in revenue. And we're going to do that by generating $1.3 million in what's called, we literally made this term up, it's called MRR. So everyone's probably heard of MRR, which is monthly recurring revenue. MRR is monthly recurring retainer revenue. We charge clients 2 ways. One is through retainer, one is through ad spend. We want $1.3 million in retainer revenue. 30% net profit. We're going to do that by getting 25 clients that pay us $50,000 a month, and that's $15 million a year in revenue. Weekend EDU, 20 clients at $5,000 a month, that's $1.2 million a year. And then Nashville getting 50 clients that are paying us $10,000 a month, $6 million a year in revenue. That gets us above that $20 million in revenue total mark. Right? So you can see the transition from really big goals, chunking that down into smaller pieces. The same thing for our one-year plan, which are our one-year initiatives, which again, we don't have time, so I'm not going to go over. But what I am going to go over is the critical number. So every business has one constraint that if you fix this constraint and this number, you'll be able to scale to whatever you want. But then you're going to hit the next constraint, right? There's always going to be the next constraint. But to fix that initial constraint, there's always one number, right? Whether that's a profit number, revenue number, gross margin number, there is some number that will allow you to reach what you want. And for us, that critical number from a yearly perspective, when we took a look at this on January 1st, 2022, was getting from a 33% 6-month rolling churn down to 25%. Right? Churn was killing us. We're like, man, if we could do this by the end of the year, we'd make so much more money. It'd allow us to invest more in talent that we need to scale, to get the bigger clients that we want, to acquire more agencies, right? And we actually did this by the end of the quarter. So we already have a new critical number that I'm going to walk through next as well. But everyone has that one critical constraint, that one critical number, and you should be thinking about what that is so you can fix it ASAP. All right, so this is our quarterly strategic plan. You can pretty much plan for a quarter, right? Like you can project for a quarter pretty easily. Anything after that, it's more of a guess, but you can pretty much plan for a quarter based on past performance, right? So for us, by June 30th, 2022, because we did this exercise at the beginning of this quarter, we're going to be $2 million in revenue, and that's for Weekend Maine. It's like $3 million in revenue total, including Powerhouse and Nashville, and that's at 30% net profit. We want 12 new clients through Weekend, 30 through Powerhouse, which is the info products, and then 20 through Nashville. And we're going to have $500,000 in cash in the bank with a 66% contribution margin, which is only going to be possible with the help of info products. And then we want 20 AR days, which is actually going to be much less than that because we're moving all of our clients to auto bill. So we don't have to worry about chasing them down.
What is that? Accounts receivable, yes? Days?
AR days, yeah. So essentially you can take a look at the total revenue outstanding in your AR and divide it by the number of days in a year to figure out how many days of AR are left, right? So like in some companies, this could be like 180 days of AR. That's a different perspective than saying there's $300,000 in AR, right? We literally have like half a year's of revenue in AR if you have 180 days. So this just kind of puts it in a different perspective. All right, and this is our new critical number, since we already met the critical number for the year, is getting to $4 million a month in client ad spend. So because all of our agreements now have a fixed cost, plus, which is the retainer, plus a percentage of ad spend, we know if we can get to $4 million a month in client ad spend, that's an extra $600,000 a year in revenue for us. $600,000 a month in revenue, right? $7.2 million a year in revenue that we wouldn't have had before, that we can now go and acquire more talent, spend more on ads, do all the things that we need to do as a business. So our entire business, everybody in the company knows this is our goal, and every day in Slack, we update the goal. How close are we to getting to $4 million a month in client ad spend, right? And it doesn't seem like a lot.
So it's not something you do like once and then forget about it. Like you constantly reminding the team that.
Constantly reminding them, and we actually created a program after this. So if we have different grades, but we're giving, if we hit like grade 1, people will get 1 day PTO. If we hit grade 2, people will get three days PTO. If we hit this, people will get 5 days, so an extra week of PTO that they'd never have. So everybody is super involved in hitting this number, the entire company. And then the managers walk through with the employees how they can, this is super important. The managers walk through with the employees how they specifically can impact this. Because you're going to have a lot of employees that are like, I don't know how I can impact this, right? Like our photographer sat down with the head of creative and is like, how can I impact this number? And it's like, well, if we shoot great photos and those photos perform in our ads, we're going to hit this, right? So now you have a personal attachment to how you can hit that number, because a lot of employees won't know how they can personally impact this.
The same applies on the e-commerce level, right? On the e-commerce brand level, like when you operate like your own brand, like the same principle apply. You have to get everyone like aligned.
Absolutely.
So do you have like maybe some examples with like for example, you mentioned like your apparel brand, like the kind of like what are the things you're doing on that side to kind of like get everyone aligned for those, or that's different. That's different from this one.
Yeah, so I'm not actively involved in the apparel brand. I just happen to know the numbers because I'm in it. But like an example would be for like Family Gifts Co. When we had the delivery issue, we hired a bunch of people. I was like, we need to get to inbox 0, and if everybody gets to inbox 0 on customer service, then we get a $10,000 bonus, right? So now we have one thing the whole company needs to go to achieve. Everyone, like we had media buyers directing resource to customer service. Like we had this is how crazy it was. We had a 5-day response time because we were getting 5,000 tickets a day during Christmas because people were like, where's my order? Where's my order? Where's my order?
Wow.
It was insanity, right? So we directed all of our resources to customer service. That's just one example of how you could do that. Like I was answering customer service like 200 tickets a day. It was crazy.
Crazy. Did you use Gorgeous at that point?
I do use Gorgeous, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they made it well. So that critical number, again, the number one most important thing, like the number that will fix all of your problems. And then we have to figure out, okay, so what are the initiatives that we need to implement as a company to get us there? What are the projects that we need to do? So for me, that's hiring all the necessary A players. We have like 15 job openings right now. That's crazy that I'm leading the initiative on hiring all these people because we have a temporary HR person. And then we need to create processes for every single department. Because as I mentioned, both my business partners are creative marketers who don't know anything about process. And if we're trying to scale, we need processes. And then our finance guy is going to be building out budgets and a daily P&L for each team. And we use a pod structure for our clients. And then clients in office so we can see who are our most profitable or least profitable clients. What about offices? Right? So now we have better decision making from a finance perspective because we currently don't have that. All right, I'm not going to tell you about marketing because I'm sure a lot of people here are expert marketers, but I will say some really high level things here. So if you're a 7-figure brand or even a 6-figure brand, multi-7-figure brand, the number one thing that's going to move the needle in your company is going to be a new offer. And this is my example for that. So IAB that I was telling him about earlier, IAB had consistently done for the past few years $5 to $7 million a year in revenue. And then Tom started the agency, and then it went down to like $150,000 a month in revenue. So call it $2.5 million in annual revenue, right? Got cut in half. And frankly, because we just didn't care about it and he wasn't very passionate about it, which probably sounds crazy, but there was bigger opportunities for us. So what we recently did is we made 2 changes to IAB. Number one, we changed the offer. So the women's shorts, I think, are $2 for $24 for 2 pairs of pants. So we changed the offer to an irresistible offer. And we got to $30,000 a day in revenue with Facebook. And we added TikTok, and we're at $60,000 a day. Right? That company did $150,000 a month on average. And just with an offer change and an additional channel, is doing $60,000 a day. Super impactful. And if you're an 8-figure company here, the number one thing that you can double down on is brand strategy. And the corollary to this is Boom, who Ezra Firestone's one of my mentors, really phenomenal marketer. And he's gone all in on branding, and you can see how phenomenal his brand, Boom, has grown. And the difference between a 7-figure brand and an 8-figure brand is just community and trust. Right? So if you're going to go all in on brand, you're going to go all in on community and all in on trust and build those relationships for LTV. It's the only difference between those 2 types of brands. Okay, here's a quick offer hack. I have 5 minutes left, so I'm going to try to run through this as much as I can. But this is super important. So price is the number one lever you have in your company for profit. Number one, easiest thing you can change to increase profit. And here's why. A 5% increase in price will increase profitability, the net profitability, bottom line of your company, 30 to 50%, which sounds crazy, and it is, assuming it stays the same. And here's the math behind it. A $100 average order value, and you're at 10% net, which is pretty common at scale. You're making $10 per order. If you increase your price 5% to $105, conversion stays the same. You're now making $15 per order. That's a 50% increase in net profit. If you're not price testing, you need to be, because you're going to be left behind if you're not. And then just the corollary for that is, so Family Gifts Co., my brand, we started selling low ticket items like tumblers and mugs, which are $30 average order value. And then we saw a competitor called Lemons or Blues selling canvases for $80. And we thought that was very underpriced in the market. And we started selling them for $100, so $20 more. And that $20 difference allowed us to scale from $500,000 to $27 million, while they barely cracked multi-seven figure, right? We had very similar products. We like 10 times the revenue, just because we had a better price and better conversion optimization, but a lot of it was price. All right, execute your vision. I have like 2 minutes left to do this. So I'm going to try and do this as quick as possible. You guys, everyone here is going to get access to these slides. So we have a lot of meetings.
We'll be selling slides separate.
Selling slides separate. We have a lot of meetings. A lot of people don't like meetings because they think they're a waste of time. And I disagree, as long as the point of the meeting is to solve an issue. So we have a lot of meetings here. I think we have like 1 minute, so I'm not going to go through them specifically. But I will go through a couple of things that are really cool. So we use Breezy for our ATS. ATS is an applicant tracking system. If you're doing a lot of recruiting, this is a software that creates like a drag and drop user interface like HubSpot for recruiting. This is a game changer for hours spent recruiting. If you're using like Google Drive, this is next level, and it's like $300 a month, totally worth the investment. And then this is one more thing. So this is what I call CEO time. So everyone here has the same amount of time every day, but the wealthiest people in the world just know how to leverage their time differently and focus on that one thing, right? So every single day you need to have some time on your calendar blocked out, whether it's 1 hour or 3 hours, I do 2, to focus on that number one highest leverage activity that you can do for the day to move your business forward. Shut off Slack. Shut off your SMS. Turn your phone off. Close the door so your wife can't enter.
What's that for you?
Right?
What's that for you, that activity?
So this is 9 to 10. It's different every single day because I plan at the end of the day what I'm going to be doing for the next day. But it's likely whatever, right now for me it's recruiting. So I have 20 minutes in Breezy, where I spend in Breezy, our recruiting software. And the rest is either based off of my quarterly priority, which is recruiting, and I have a couple additional ones, or something that was urgent that came up the day before that I had to plan for. But it's the highest leverage activity that's going to be moving the needle. All right, so here's some really cool books you should read. And this is what I'll end this with. Is your vision big enough? Right? Hey, yeah, okay. All right, back from the dead. We saw how you can address your founder constraints, right? How you can create your vision, how you can execute your vision, how you can get data. And I'm going to leave you with this one question. Is your vision big enough? Right? We had a lot of people raise their hands for 7 figures, for 8 figures, 9 figures. A mentor of mine once said, imagine that number that you want and add a 0. If you want to be a millionaire, add a 0. You want $10 million. You're much more likely to actually achieve your goal, and the things that you're going to need to do to reach that 10 million are going to get you what you need. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. Yeah, you can connect with Kyle on LinkedIn.
You can follow me on LinkedIn. Also, you can follow my business partner Tommy Patterson on Instagram. He's much more entertaining than I am. And if you want to get these slides and the strategy sheets, you can email me at kyle@weekininvestments.com with the subject strategy sheets. And then in the body, just tell me what your vision is. Super interested to understand and really appreciate the opportunity to speak here with everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Kyle. So much great stuff. I think
you want to talk to me still? Or?
I think this has to be like rewatched like several times because it's a lot of like very intense kind of like, the numbers, like templates, all those things.
All the stuff that I actually really like, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. So I think like one of the, because I was, like from like maybe last few months, like when I'm looking at a business and especially like successful business, I'm trying to like understand, and that's, I believe maybe it's like one of the things that like why successful businesses are successful is because they have the visionary and they have the integrator, right? And you mentioned, we had a conversation briefly before, like in the morning, that you have realized that after some time you try to be like a visionary, but then you realize that you actually better in the role of the integrator.
Yes.
How that realization came?
Yeah, so I think the role of the visionary and integrator is actually fluid. when I started my own companies, Family Gifts Co., I was the visionary, and I did have a big vision, right? But I couldn't execute because I didn't have the integrator. And now that I'm in an agency, and agencies are basically giant HR companies, and you need a lot of systems and a lot of processes, and then I've been involved in that, now I'm like, man, I really actually enjoy this. So I think that they can be fluid based on the situation, but I also like to read, I like to learn a lot, I like to, I'm a sponge essentially, so like now all I'm doing is thinking about operations and all this structure all day. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. How do you find like that like partner, that person, you know, because those like partnerships can be like life changing, you know.
Absolutely.
Someone comes like with a particular skill set, and a lot of entrepreneurs they get business to a certain level as a visionary. As a visionary, you get business to like, I don't know, 3, 5, like maybe 10 million.
Yep.
And then like, it's kind of like after that, if you don't have like a strong integrator, if you don't like improve the processes and stuff like that, then pretty much like the business like most likely will go down.
Yep.
So how did you find your partner, for instance?
Great question. So with my current business partners, Tom and Brandon, so we actually, Family Gifts Co. used Weekend Digital, which is the agency that I'm a partner in now, as our agency of record for a while. And I just built a relationship with them through that. And we realized we really like each other. And more importantly, we are exact opposites. Like, when you start off as an entrepreneur, it's really easy to think you want somebody who's just like you, who you can sit down with at a bar and have a beer with, to be your business partner. That's not what you want. You want the exact opposite of you so that you complement each other very well. When Brendan and I started to talk and get to know each other, we realized we have great synergies because we are the exact opposite. So
Do you have like a lot of arguments?
we have a lot of heated discussion. I wouldn't call them arguments, but it's all good, you know. We all have.
You're both passionate about.
Yes, yeah. There's no ego at all in any of our organization. That's another thing that we preach. Like, I don't care who makes an idea. It's like the best idea is going to win. Even if I came up with it or someone else came up with it, no ego in any decision making for our company, and that goes in personal discussions with my business partners and I. Like, best idea, no ego.
Cool. Thank you, Kyle. Yeah, we'll have to because we have Tommy coming in here. But thank you. And
Thank
you
you
guys,
for having me.
yeah, if you want to connect and chat with Kyle, he's tremendous. You know, he's sharing stuff and you know the insights, like building like an actual operation, actual business with you know, you've seen these like accountability charts. It's I think what a lot of entrepreneurs are missing. You know, like they get business to a certain level. Like, you know, let's say with e-commerce dropshipping model, you can get it to a certain level, but then you have to add that structure if you want to get to the next level.
Yeah, and if you want to hire people who stay.
Yeah, cool. All right, thank you, Kyle.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, man.